Okay, everybody, as you can see, I'm here and I'm home. It was a great time on the tour. I want to thank everybody. If you're watching this, if you were at a show, thank you so much for coming. It was so much better than I could have ever imagined, and I had so much fun. And I was just so grateful to see people out there singing along with the new record and then, the deeper cuts and everything. So all of my gratitude goes to you for coming to the shows. I thought that while the tour was fresh in my mind, I would just talk about every single show. I'm not actually ranking the shows. That was just clickbait. Okay, first show, San Diego. When we got into the venue, I realized that I had played there in 2017 with a band called La Bouquet and Groves. So it was cool to go back to a place that I'd been before. The show was awesome. It was a great way to kick off the tour, and somebody tried to start a fight in the audience, which then gave me a funny story to tell for the entirety of the tour. Phoenix, the second show, was very cool. We've only ever played at the Rebel Lounge in Phoenix, but the Valley Bar was an extremely cool new venue for us to be at. We had great Thai food next door. The sound person, Kenji, was an absolute angel. And the show was so turned up. I swear, it was more turned up than any Phoenix show we'd ever done before. So Phoenix, I see you. Austin, we had some delicious Vietnamese food before the show. We took some cool photos in the venue. I thought that the disco ball in the venue was extremely cool. The crowd was hella nice. I got to talk to literally every single person at that show because I just stepped off stage and I started talking to everybody. It was so nice to meet you all. I heard some really nice stories and it was just an all-around great time. Then we went to Dallas, which was at the House of Blues, which is honestly too big of a venue for me to be playing, but the plus side of that was the green room was hella big. I took a nap on the couch. It was a good time. It was a little bit of a smaller turnout, but everybody that turned out was so hyphy. This was the only show of the tour where there was like a mosh pit, and it wasn't like a violent mosh pit. It was almost like skanking, like ska style. So that was really chill and made me feel really happy, and I got to meet everybody there as well. Then we went to Nashville, which is where we met up with Euphoria again. Beaming was on the earlier dates. The show in Nashville was at Jack White's venue, the Blue Room. It was a very chill show. If you look at my Instagram, I've posted like 3 versions of the exact same photo. I took photos with this photographer named Gina DeMau, whose work I adore. She shot the Dope Girl Chronicles cover. She just takes the best portraits ever. So we got to do a little shoot before the show, which was awesome. Then we went to Atlanta, which was a 21 and up venue, which was kind of a first for me in Atlanta, and I was honestly a little nervous about it, but the turnout was wonderful. The venue fed us and gave us our riders, so we had hot food and also all of our snacks and stuff, so thank you to the Earl. That was a cute show. Nate and I did Talking Johnny and June via special request. And before that, we didn't practice it at all, so it was like funny to play and just not know how to play it. Then we went to Carrboro, which was Cat's Cradle Backroom. I've played there many, many times. Love that venue. I was lucky enough that there wasn't a show at the main room of the Cat's Cradle, so I was able to go like nap and chill in the green room of the main room. So thank you, Cat's Cradle, for letting me do that, because the green room in the back room is just this balcony, and I was hella sleepy. Nate and I had some sushi that night, which was very good. Then we went to Washington, D.C. We played at Songbird, which we've played at many times. They were so nice to us. The sound was so good. That show was like exceptionally turned up and platinum. We played the deepest cut of the entire tour at that show. Somebody requested a song called SITBG, which stands for Should I Try Being Gone? And that is the bonus track from If I Shout That the Revolutions in My Blind Heart Have Left Me on the Mend, Would I Still Have to Surrender the Tides to Exercise This Possession EP. This bonus track was never even on streaming, so shout out to that person, the ultimate medic scholar. Then we went to Philly, which was a wonderful show. It was weirdly hot, and I was starting to get really sleepy at this point in the tour. And we had to load up like 2 flights of stairs. It was a little chaotic, I have to say. However, the show was really fun, and I got to see my yo-yo friends, which I always get to see in Philly, Jake and Tyler. Thank you guys for hitting me with a Yo-Yo swag bag. But once again, that was another venue we'd never played before, Johnny Brenda's. Very cool venue. Then we went to Brooklyn. That's Baby's All Right. That was, I think, the first sold out show of the tour. That show itself was amazing. The energy was amazing, but that venue does a lot of early show, late show. So that's led to us having what's called a disco loadout, where right after we're done playing, we have a very short amount of time to get all of our shit out of the venue so the next show can start. And this disco loadout was among the craziest I've ever had, where I stepped off stage and the next band was already just like in the green room. It was stressful, I guess would be the right word for it. And New York is kind of a crazy place too. That was a little intense. It was sort of hard for me to like take in how awesome the show was, because right when we were finished, I was like trying to get all my guitars out of the venue while simultaneously the other show was being let into the venue, but the show itself was amazing. Then we went to Boston, which was another venue we hadn't played at before, which I unfortunately can't remember what it's called right now. I'll put its name on the screen. But it was such a nice change from the New York show, because we showed up, we had hella time to load in. Everybody at the venue was super helpful. They helped us load in and set up. And the venue was actually like, I think it's like a 500 cap venue. Honestly, too big for me as well, but a lot of people came. And it was like such a good vibe in the room. The segment where I tell everybody that Nate the Great was moving and to give him all their love. They gave him so much pure, genuine love at that show that almost I started shedding a tear. And Nate said he almost started shedding a tear as well. So Boston, you always have my back. Thank you for coming to that show. That was so much fun. Then we went to Burlington, Vermont. This was my first time ever playing in Burlington, Vermont. This show is also sold out. And this show was fun because it was at kind of like a bar, because I don't think Burlington has like small-ish, small, medium-sized venues. So it was at this very cool bar that had a really odd stage that was actually like really fun to play on. And the show was just extremely lit for that reason, because there was obviously no barricade. There was no venue vibe. It was just like a bar show. And the people were hella dancing. That video I posted at Pegasus Thoughts where everybody's singing along was from that show, so that was lit. And then we went to Buffalo, something we've been wanting to do for a long time, because crossing the border into Canada with hella merch is like super stressful, and they always want you to pull over and search the car and ask if you're selling stuff and wonder if you have drugs. Like, it's just too much. So I said, let's just do a show in Buffalo for at least this one time. It's easier for the Canadian listeners to cross the border than for us to cross the border with all of our fucking merch and stuff. So we took a chance and did the show in Buffalo, and it also was pretty much sold out, and it was such a cool venue. It was just hella fucking chill. It was so fun. That was our last show with Euphoria again. We bid farewell to them. We loved them so much. Then we were in Lakewood, Ohio. I love Ohio. Ohio has been historically a medic town. So much fun. Got to chill around Lakewood for a day. Although at this point in time, I started coming down with a strange illness. It felt like allergies or something. But I remember on stage, I felt like I had a fever. And then I got off stage and I like had a headache and was super sleepy. But the show itself was really good. Always loved playing in Lakewood, specifically Mahal's is such a cool venue. The Medic Scholars were out in full effect. Then we went to Detroit, and on the way to Detroit, my strange sickness was hitting again. I felt like nauseous. I thought I might vom. It was brutal. Also, the Detroit show was like very undersold. And so in addition to feeling sick, I was like, damn, I wonder if people are going to show up to this show. However, like 100 tickets sold day of. So we got to the venue. I took a nap, a nice long nap. Felt better when I woke up, and then when we played, there was like hella people there. So Detroit, you really pulled up for us, especially, and you couldn't have known this, but my health bar was blinking. I was a little bit sick. Not like I had a cold, but I had some strange thing was going on with me. So thank you for coming. Also, we met up with Georgia Mack in Ohio. So she was with us in Lakewood and in Detroit. Love Georgia. She is so fun to be around, and her songs are so beautiful. Then we went to Chicago, which was at the Sub T, which is a venue that I attempted to headline in 2019, and I swear there was like 40 tickets sold. It was kind of brutal. And this show was nearly sold out. So it was a great redemption arc for me personally. The show was hella lit. It was like the energy was just perfect in there. People were singing. It just felt so good. That show was amazing. Also, Georgia Mack, when she walked onto the stage, a song was playing that she loves. So she told the sound person not to turn the song off. And then she just danced around for the entirety of the song before her set. So she cut like 5 minutes into her set just to sing along to this song, which is something that I will say I've never seen or heard of anyone doing. And Georgia Mack is just such a amazingly enigmatic personality that she brought me that memory, and I'm so grateful for it because it was so funny, frankly, and just so crazy. So that was probably one of the most memorable parts of the tour, was her doing that, because that was awesome. Then we went to Minneapolis, 7th Street Entry, classic venue, love playing there. The people pulled up, they sang. That was an early show too, which was kind of nice because I was critically sleepy at this point in the tour, because this is like 3.5 weeks in or something. Georgia left the next morning, and then we drove to Denver. The morning after Minneapolis, I woke up and I felt like I had a sore throat. And by felt like, I mean I actually just did. But I thought that it was like acid reflux or something, because sometimes you'll have like a acid reflux moment and you wake up and your throat like hurts, but it's not like sick. So it kind of went away in the day between Minneapolis and Denver, or the 2 days actually. We drove hella far to Denver, but even still on Denver days it was like feeling weird, and I was getting nervous at that point. But I played the show in Denver and it was fine, and I was like, I guess I'm fine. But then I woke up the next day and I was like really raspy and hoarse. But I did have the next day to recover, so I took it easy the next day. Then we went to Salt Lake and I was still kind of like hoarse. Something strange was happening. And I kind of knew that there was a high probability that at the Salt Lake show I was going to blast my voice out. I felt that way going into Denver, and it was fine. So maybe Salt Lake will be fine as well. And for most of the set in Salt Lake, it was fine. But then we played Used to Be a Romantic. I think that was the song that put me over the edge, because I was having so much fun like singing it and everybody was singing it with me. I started kind of pushing my voice. And then by the time we got to like Pegasus Thoughts, I literally was like rasping for words. I couldn't even talk. And then when I got off stage, I had no voice. And to be frank, I was hella emo about it, because, I mean, when your whole job is like singing for an hour straight, losing your voice really makes you feel very vulnerable. So I lost my voice, but the show was Mom. And then the next day was actually my birthday. We were supposed to be playing in Boise, but I woke up with no voice, and there was no way I was going to be able to sing that set at all. I didn't talk all day. I think at like 9 p.m. I said like one word, because I was trying to say something to one of the boys in the hotel room, like to get, we were going to the lobby or something, but I didn't talk at all that day. I spent my birthday as a mime, and then we had 3 days, because we canceled the show in Boise, to rest, which was crucial, because by the time I got to Portland, my voice was back, but now I was congested, but I can deal with that. And I felt a lot better. Portland was amazing. That was at Polaris Hall. Love that venue. That show was actually very exceptional. It was really just, the vibes in the room were so good. Then we went to Seattle, where we did unfortunately have some like technical difficulties in the beginning of the set, which is hard to be on the stage and be unable to perform. So like my mojo and Nate's mojo was like a little scrambled at the front end of the set, but we got it worked out a few songs in, and the show was awesome. And then we had San Francisco, which is my homeland. It was really, really special show. It was at this movie theater called the Four Star Theater. We had these beautiful projections behind us. It was like a partially seated room. The sound was amazing. It sold out day of, and it was just fucking like really special. So that was one of my favorite shows of the tour. I think that show in Chicago are like tied for my two ultimate favorites. However, I loved all the shows. And then we played Los Angeles. The last show, I was critically sleepy because we woke up in SF, drove 6 hours to LA, stopped at my house for like 1 second to grab Nate's luggage because he was, of course, fleeing to Amsterdam. And we got to the venue and I was like, bruh, I'm so sleepy. But the show must go on. Of course, the people came out. It was beautiful. It was really hot in the venue. However, the vibes were amazing at the show, and it was just this wash of gratitude and relief when we played the last note of the last song of that set. And I was just like, I can't believe we did it and we're done. And it's funny because, especially when I was sick, but like towards the middle end of the tour, I was like, dude, I'm tired. I feel like I need to go home. And as soon as we finished the last set, I was like, I could keep going. Because it feels so good to get a chance to see you guys, play for you guys, interact with you guys, and the exchange of energy that is playing a show for you. So I know if you were at a show, you already heard me say this, but it just means so much to me to have an opportunity to continue to share my music with you guys, especially after 13, 14 years or something. I started this project in 2013. I can't do math. I don't know how long that's been, but it was such a really validating experience to go on this tour and do the deepest of the deep cuts, and then as well as just the newest album, and to have such a good reception for both of those things. So that is my review, or not even my review, that's just my play-by-play of the tour. I know this video is hella long. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna start cooking up some new music probably next week, and I can't wait to share more music with you as soon as I can get it recorded. I once again just want to thank you so much for supporting the tour, for supporting the new album, and supporting my creative endeavors. Thank you so much for listening and making the tour the success that it was, and I can't wait to share new music with you soon.